Hi everyone. Um, Instead of writing, I thought this evening that I would talk a blog through, and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about how, in my experience, the land and the people living on the land and the plants that are inhabiting the land are all connected in this sort of little intricate healing web that benefits us. Um, Everything is an energy across time and history, and that which has happened on and in our countries is held as a memory within the land that we live on. It affects us. It affects us as a population, and that's why you'll often see the same themes within health or emotional problems playing through a population. I think if we look at the more extreme examples, we have the Holocaust, but also on a micro level. As individuals, we can sense these things. So if I told you to imagine that you just walked into a room and you got a really uncomfortable feeling in the room, and just intuitively you're like, well, something's happened here. Well, it turns out that perhaps the two people who were in the room before you had an argument and you're able to sense that. So that's a very, very basic explanation. But on a much bigger level, the history of our land affects us as people. And it's up to us then to go on our little healing journeys and to undo all of these ancestral patterns and things that are holding us back. But what's even more astonishing to me is that our plants grow in certain places to help heal. And they then provide us with a medicine and a way to heal ourselves. And it's phenomenal. And as I tuned into this more and more so, because I sense a lot in places, it's quite interesting to me. I'd go out on walks and I'd feel what happened in a place historically. And if before it used to make me really anxious because I didn't really understand what was going on. But then as I decided to tune into it and really sense all of it, I would feel the story. So as I opened up more to my parents, I would share the story, and my dad would hit the history books, and he'd come back and explain to me exactly what I had been sensing, and generally it was accurate. So I started to trust myself more rather than feeling like, whoa, this is a little bit freaky. I'd observe and I would notice that certain plants grew in certain places that were linked with certain things, and those plants had a capacity to heal those things. And I started then to use those plants, whether in their herbal form or more increasingly in their energy essence form. And so I would give the plants to heal the problems that I was sensing within the people that then came to me. And it's been truly magical and wonderful, and it turns out I'm not the only person doing this. It's only that I learned this myself rather than going to a book and Googling how to make plant and healing remedies. But where I have my own theory is that the plants are very, very specific. So in Ireland, we have our own unique history and energy and issues, the positives and the negatives, and our plants help to heal that. So it's unusual for me when I'm in another country to feel and sense a plant that will then translate into a healing for me to bring home to my people. Usually I'll feel the plants and remedies within other countries that I've traveled in, and when I've spent time doing work with people that work with herbs and plants, you know, I'll know what the plant does, and it's amazing, and we'll discuss the healing properties and all that it can do, and I'll talk about how I sense they can be used on an energetic level. But the plants to me feel really specific for the people there. So when I was in Sedona, I learned a lot about the healing plants, but for me they were specific to the people living there in Sedona or Arizona or in the United States. When I travel to Hawaii, I will sense the same thing, and Hawaii has this energy that's just all up above in the sky and in the blue and in the sun and in her flowers. Amazing. Hawaii didn't gift me anything to bring home, but she fed and nurtured my soul. And that's what we experience when we travel. South Africa, I've just come back from South Africa, and she had a very different energy in the ground. It was challenging to me, but also a big fire, a big fireball of energy. But some of the plants spoke to me there and gifted me with remedies that would travel home to our Irish people. In fact, one of them, the protea, was very exciting to me because I had seen this flower for a whole year in dreams but never found it. I thought that I would recognize this plant when I was in Sedona last year and disappointedly came home having not found it, but it was this year that I found it on my boyfriend's mother's farm. So the protea spoke. I wrote down her healing message. I made the essence as I felt was the right way to do it, but I brought it home, and she's a very, very healing plant. If you click into my the essence page, you'll be able to read more about it. And another plant there is zinnia and eucalyptus. It turns out eucalyptus was more a personal one for me because I sprained my ankle really badly when I was there, and the eucalyptus holds a lot of healing for bone and joint and ligament and soft tissue injuries. So I actually needed to use eucalyptus when I was there, and I brought home a little ointment. So the plants sort of speak through different ways and channels of healing. Sometimes it's herbs, sometimes it's their energy, sometimes it's the plants, flowers, and everything above the surface. Sometimes it's the roots. Sometimes we'll use them as healing ointments or foot soaks. It's amazing the different ways that we can use plants. But for me, normally, the way I will tune into them is in their form of energy, which is a healing that is more related to our emotions and the emotional story of where we've been in our past, who we are now, and how to release that. So I just thought I'd touch on that a little bit more because it's interesting. I find it fascinating how Mother Nature and our environment